Hi, so I just tried to call a live show with a bummer. The guy wasn't there. It's like, I'm sorry I hung up on the first person who answered the studio phone. I'm not really a radio person. I haven't been a radio person since college. I did like 1 quarter. I don't think we had semesters. I did 1 quarter of being a DJ, and I kept playing Round and Round by Rats. It was my favorite thing. It's like, yeah, we had like semi-digital things, but we spun the wax discs back in 1990. Yes, not 1909, but 1990. Well, whatever. So it's like he's talking about public school. I'm like, Bob, it's not only public school. I don't know. I used to listen to Dr. Laura on 610 WTVN. My mother didn't like her. But my mother most resembled Dr. Laura of any person I knew, so I was really shocked that my mother didn't like her. Maybe my mother felt that Dr. Laura's intelligence threatened her, but after 9/11 they dropped her. But I remember, never mind, I'm not going to just bring everything up because it's not prudent to bring everything up. But my mother, she was a teacher, and often we went to babysitters because my mother was a professional woman. And there is no education and there is no discipline among thieves. Oh no, I guess the saying is there's no honor among thieves. Well, same thing went for babysitters back in the 70s and the early 80s. Snap. It's like the only way you could discipline children that were recalcitrant and obstreperous was slapping the shit out of them. Bob, but my husband, he went to a Catholic school. Early in his career, when he was still elementary aged, and that ethic sort of had continued into elementary school, seeping from the private sector into the Catholic sector. And he had a teacher that was like a naughty nanny. She like hated little boys, and she actually told the little girls in the classroom to hit the boys on the wrist with a ruler because, well, she couldn't do it herself. She was flying a bit too close to the wind, I suppose. And then one time, I don't know, my husband, he's not like that kind of like rebellious little juvenile delinquent that you might think a third grader would be, but apparently he ran afoul of this foul wench who was his teacher. And she said, well, she gave the ruler to one of the little girls in the classroom. And she said, slap him on the wrist with the ruler. And then my little husband, before I even knew him, just very calmly and collectedly turned to his little fellow Catholic student and said, my mama and my daddy told me. He didn't say it with that accent, but I'm disguising his voice. If anybody ever hits me, I'm supposed to hit him back. And so she didn't hit him. It's like, what kind of a weirdo? I guess she was, that teacher eventually was fired for bruising a little boy's arm. Why? It's not to say that people attracted to education are necessarily pedophiles, but some of them are really mixed up people. Same thing for babysitting. I hate to bring this up again. I had a babysitter, her name was B, and she said, you don't remember, but when you're 4 years old, we were playing hide and seek and you sat under this beanbag and I didn't realize I almost suffocated you to death because this woman weighed like 300 pounds. It's like maybe she wanted to kill me and thought better of it. And, it's like her son eventually, he was like 2 years old. He died from eating rat poison. I mean, who just, what little 2-year-old kid just, oh, rat poison, that looks like an attractive substance to eat. And I don't, you know, I was in contact with her very, very early on in the internet age. And I knew there was something wrong with that woman, but I never wanted to call her out on it because I remembered she was 95% of the time very kind to me. But you don't just put people who aren't supervised in children's homes, or, you don't import the children to those people's homes. I don't think so. But then again, it all kind of redounds to religion, what you think is right. You think you should whip little children for doing something wrong? That was a culture that I grew up in, the Dukes of Hazzard 1970s. You hit children, you spank them, you hit them, you spank them, you kick them. If they don't behave, and then if they really don't behave, you beat them and you whip them. Oh, yes, I came from a household with two supposedly educated parents, but they couldn't afford a good nanny. They couldn't even afford the bad nanny. What a naughty nanny Ghislaine Maxwell must have had.